Hey guys, OpTic Ashes or Coach Ashes here. I'm bringing you a video basically on a question that I get asked a lot. This is not going to be an Ask Ashes question or video. This is actually just an individual video because I wanted to talk about this topic specifically because it's such a complex thing that I think a lot of people kind of overlook or oversimplify that really should be considered in full because it can change your life. And that is the topic of building a successful team and what are the tips for those. I get asked this question all the time, and there's some like common traits to all successful teams that I want to go over, and what my tips are as a coach that I believe will help you, the viewer, be able to create that successful team. Now, this is not specific to any game or any sport or anything like that, but I am going to be using examples from Gears of War because that is what I'm the most familiar with. But that being said, you know, this is a very generic thing. It can be applied to any game. It can be applied to Call of Duty. It can be applied to Halo. It can be applied to League of Legends. It can be applied to CS:GO. It can be applied to anything. So, you know, use it. Don't think it's just Gears of War specific just because I'm using Gears of War examples. So tip number one is have confidence in your own skill. So if you're going to be building a team, the reason this is important is because you're going to be acting as that leader of the team, right? You're going to be the one kind of bringing everyone together. You're going to be recruiting the players and trying out the players and organizing the practices and tryouts and possibly finding the sponsors and all that kind of stuff. So you're going to really need to be confident in your own skill. If you don't exert confidence, your players aren't going to want to play with you. And it basically boils down to that. It's something as simple as that. You know, it's the same thing as, ironically, it's the same thing as talking to a girl. You want to be confident and you want to be confident in yourself, but not arrogant and not egotistical. So there's kind of a fine line that you have to walk there. And once you're able to do that, you're going to be able to be a successful team builder. And it's going to lead to better communication down the line, which is something I'll talk about in one of the next tips. So the next tip I have is make sure that you develop strong leadership traits. And what I mean by this is, you know, teams need a leader, as I said previously. So you're going to be acting as that leader of this team by building this team, by creating it, by finding the players. So you're going to need to have those leadership traits. You're going to need to have strong communication skills. You're going to need to be able to fill the silence when you need to and be able to, you know, handle the tough decisions under pressure. You know, should I drop this player, but this player is my friend? Are they performing? Should I pick this player up? How do I handle conflict between two teammates? How do I handle conflict between a teammate and myself? All of these kind of things are going to be possible issues that may come up or may arise as you're, you know, forming this team, especially in a game, in a video game where everybody isn't together. You're not face to face with your teammates, and you know, tempers can flare. You know, when you lose a scrim or you lose a match that you really wanted to win, and that is a very vulnerable time for any team that isn't, you know, familiar with each other. So having a good leader is going to be really important there. In game specifically, it's really important to have a good leader. Now, this isn't something as crucial in Gears of War. You see it a lot more in CS:GO where they have shot callers, or in-game leaders, and League of Legends where they have shot callers. FPS games, it's not really as common, but you will notice a trend with the top teams having kind of that definite voice that everybody likes to listen to or naturally listens to. For example, for our team, I would say Gilbert or Explosive is that voice. When he sees a play or makes a play or calls a rotation, the team follows up on it, and it's often the right play. That being said, everybody feeds up into that, but usually what he says is the one that people listen to. Sometimes Kenny is kind of that like second tier one who helps out when Gilbert's, you know, either dead or in the middle of doing something else or just not in the right position to make a call for the team. Example would be Franchise from Envy, who is 100% their endgame leader. Kind of the same feed system where they give him ideas, but if you ever watch their scrims or listen to their communication, it's 100% Fran's calling, and he's brilliant at his micromanaging of the players on that team. It's why they're so successful, in my opinion. So you can see that the two top teams in Gears of War specifically have strong leaders in game. Also, you're going to need that strong leader out of game. You're going to need that person who's going to organize the practices. You're going to need that person who's going to take the initiative to find scrims and find GB matches and sign you up for tournaments and talk to sponsors. Having an out-of-game leader is just as important as having an in-game leader. Otherwise, you're going to find that the team sort of plateaus and falls off because there's just not that initiative coming from the group. If everybody's just kind of waiting for somebody else to, step up and do it and doesn't take the initiative themselves, you have no leader, then the team won't be able to practice as much. It might not be optimized. There might not be a set schedule, and that's not conducive to a successful team. My next tip is the kind of it's more of a debate question of skill versus chemistry and which one weighs in more for having a successful team. For me personally, I believe having the right balance is obviously optimal, but I think chemistry can lead to a more successful long-term team than just raw skill. One of the issues with raw skill and raw talent is that it can lead to egos and kind of that flare up of, oh, I'm better than you guys and all I do is carry you and I can find a better team, and there you have a piece of your team missing. Whereas if you have chemistry, if everybody clicks but you're not maybe the best individually, you can kind of out-rotate or out-strategize or outplay a team just based on how well you play together rather than as individuals. But like I said, it is important to have a healthy mixture of both. You want to find people who are talented at the game and hungry to continue to develop themselves and learn, and then you click with. So feeding off of that, I'm going to go right into my next tip, which is find people you enjoy playing with. Chemistry, like I said, allows for a lot better trust in game, which will help you kind of rely on each other. There are some teams currently in Gears of War that I'm not going to name right now, but I've mentioned it before, I think on Twitter and in previous Twitch streams, I guess, where there's teams that don't really rely on each other or trust in each other to perform. And when you see that is when you see people feeling the need to fight the 1v1 when it's a 2v1 or a 3v1 situation. They challenge it rather than backing off and waiting for their team, or they try to force a play that they don't really need to force because they feel the need that they need to carry. They don't really rely on their team or know how to trust in their team. So having chemistry and trusting in your teammates, which is something that you can develop over time, is one of the most essential parts of having a successful team and building a successful team. You also want to enjoy each other outside of the game. A lot of people don't think about it. They get on, they practice with their team, and then everybody goes their own separate directions, but that chemistry really isn't there. I'm again going to use my team, the OpTic Gaming team, as an example. My guys are in Skype calls for hundreds of hours at a time. I'm not even joking. They have Skype calls that last hundreds of hours. They play other games together. They play Call of Duty, they play Halo, they play Grand Theft Auto, they play Minecraft, they play a ton of games together that's not just practice. And then they practice together. So they have that chemistry of just long-term exposure with each other. And because of that long-term exposure, they've kind of built a bond where they don't even need to really communicate everything that they're doing because they just know each other so well. This is harder for a new team to develop. My team's been together for almost a year now. So it comes with time and with practice, but if you have kind of a natural chemistry and you enjoy the people you play with, you want to spend more time with them. So maybe after the scrims end, you say, hey, let's play public matches and have some fun, or let's go play Grand Theft Auto and goof around or something. And you build that kind of friendship with your teammates, which is really crucial in almost every competitive game that you do so, because you want to be able to trust in your teammates and you want to be able to communicate well. And the more that you guys trust each other, the better you'll be able to critique each other when things go wrong, and the better you'll be able to handle losses. When you lose and your tempers flare up, and when you trust each other and when you're friends, rather than going, oh my God, why did you do that? You might say, hey man, what happened right there? Like what happened? What made you decide to push instead of fall back? And you go, oh, okay, well, I didn't mean to, like, that was a bad move on my part. Like, people are kind of more relaxed in that kind of more crucial and critical point of team reflection. My next tip is to find common goals. So you might be wondering what I mean by this, and basically it's what is the goals of the team? Are all the players on the same page? I can't tell you how many teams I've seen, especially in League of Legends in my past management experience, that have just kind of crumbled apart because they didn't have common goals. In fact, recently I did an academy team where the players just didn't have the same goals in mind. So, you know, are the goals to become pro? Is everybody on the team striving to become a pro player? Is everyone on the team striving to just take first on the GB ladder? Are you guys trying to win like just public matches? Is it a pub team? Are you trying to make top 5 on the leaderboard? All of these things are acceptable goals, but everybody has to be on the same page. You don't want to have somebody who's aspiring to become a pro and somebody who just wants to win 20 pub matches in a row on the same team. Because if this person doesn't really want to become pro and this person doesn't really care about public matches, there's going to be kind of a conflict there when during practices when people aren't on the same page. So make sure everybody has common goals. My last tip and my final tip, and probably one of the most important ones, is have fun. It is a game. They are games. They are meant to be enjoyed. If you are not enjoying or finding something that you enjoy in the game or in what you're doing, you shouldn't do it. Now, this is true in life, not just video games and not just competitive sports, but it's important. You know, you have to kind of have that inner peace of, I love what I'm doing. You know, I want to get on and play every single day. That's where you're going to really find success. And you, same thing, you want to have like all the people around you, all your teammates having that same success. So if you're struggling with that, which I know that there's some players out there who do struggle with that, who struggle to find enjoyment in the game, especially when the game doesn't work right or doesn't go your way or you have unfortunate circumstances. There's a practice called gratitude journals. And this is something that I would highly recommend to players who struggle, or to even teams who struggle with this concept of just enjoying what they do, and the grind becomes monotonous to them. Because what's going to happen is they're going to continue to play the game and they're going to consider it more and more work, and psychologically they're going to detach themselves from the game because they're not going to be enjoying it. And when you don't enjoy something, you don't fully focus on it. Whereas if you're fully enjoying something, you're really intent on it for that moment. You're focused in, and focus is essential for any kind of competitive sport, but especially video games. So when you have that enjoyment, you have that focus, and if you don't, a gratitude journal is going to help you find that enjoyment. So what you do for a gratitude journal is every day you write down 5 things that you you write down 5 things that you are grateful for. It doesn't have to be game related. It could be life. I'm grateful that I had a roof over my head. I'm grateful that I had a comfy bed to sleep in. I'm grateful I have internet, because God knows I don't. I'm grateful that I had a team that supported me when I sucked today, and I'm grateful that we won a GB match, or we took top 16 in a tournament, or whatever the case may be. Write it down. 5 things, 5 every single day that you're grateful for. Eventually, you'll start looking for the positive things, because you're not going to want to write the same things over and over again. You're not going to go, I have a bed, I have a roof, I had food, blah, blah. You're not going to want to do that every single day. You're going to look for things you're grateful for. So when you're in practice, right, and you shoot, I'm going to use Gears of War for an example. When you shoot that boom shot that explodes in your face and glitches and kills you, you're not going to focus on, oh my God, my whole day's ruined because I shot this awful boom shot. You're going to say, okay, well, I'm grateful that my team was able to clutch up on that round that the game messed up, right? That's the kind of mindset and psychological effect that a gratitude journal can have for you, and why it'll help enjoyment, and then why enjoyment will help focus and help you be a better player and a better team. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope these tips for building a successful team really come in handy for you guys. I know a lot of you are really esports focused, so this is a great video for those of you building teams within esports, any esport, Call of Duty, League of Legends, Gears of War, Halo, whatever, CSGO. So hopefully you can find some of these tips useful. If you have some tips that I didn't mention, feel free to put them down in the comments below and I'll definitely read them. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know that you liked it. And if you don't already, guys, please, please, please subscribe down below. I really appreciate the support. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.